Disney's Cruella, a novelization. Chapter 2. Things didn't get better. For the next few weeks, Estella prepared for school like she was readying herself for battle. She didn't want to give anyone the satisfaction of seeing her hurt, so she continued to wear her customized uniform like armor. But inside, she was hurting. Each day brought another round of humiliation. No matter what class she was in or what she said, she was a target. In gym class, dodgeball got her a trip to the headmaster's office for knocking Mean Ginger to the ground, even though he had tried to hurt Anita first. In art class, Estella's vision for splatter style didn't jibe with the teachers. Once again, she was off to see the headmaster. Even during school photos, Estella couldn't do the right thing. Her flashy take on the uniform had her pulled out of the photo before the camera bulb went off. With each demerit, each humiliation, Estella responded with another bright piece of material or a louder dash of paint. They could try, but she wouldn't let them get her down. She wouldn't let them see Cruella. The only place she felt even a bit okay was outside, free from the confines of the stuffy school. But soon enough, even that became a battlefield. Eating lunch one day, outside and on her own, Estelle looked up to see herself surrounded by the mean ginger-haired boy and his equally nasty group of friends. Ginger's cheeks were as red as his hair, and his mean eyes gleamed. Estella hoped perhaps they would just go away. No such luck. Ignoring Estella's protests, Mean Ginger and his friends picked her up, carried her to a dumpster, and tossed her in. Old papers, dirty plates, and old food covered Estella. Digging her way up out of the rubbish, fury on her face, she saw the kids looking down at her. Rage welled up inside her. How dare they? What was their problem? What had she ever done to them? "Why are you so mean?" she shouted as the kids dispersed. But then, out of the corner of her eye, she spotted a glint of something silver and sparkling in the dumpster. Momentarily distracted, she began digging through the trash. Grabbing hold of a bolt of silver fabric, Estella dislodged more trash. A little whimper sounded. Estella froze. There was another whimper. Frantically, Estella pawed at the garbage. There was something alive in the dumpster with her. Finally, with a cry, she pulled out a box. Inside was a tiny puppy. It was shivering and whimpering, but as soon as Estella pulled it into her arms, the grateful little creature covered her face in kisses. At least someone at school seemed to like her. Estella sat on her threadbare couch at home later that evening, picking at a loose string. Despite the long shower she had taken, she still smelled of garbage. Each whiff sent a new, fresh wave of anger flooding through her. On the floor, the puppy, whom Estella had named Buddy, sniffed around the furniture, his little tail wagging. At least you're happy, Estella thought. Whoever left you in the dumpster is as mean and nasty as the kids at school. She had known that starting at a new school was going to be hard, but she had never imagined it would be this hard. Lost in thought, Estella didn't hear her mum come into the room. Her voice startled Estella. "I know that look," her mum said, misinterpreting things. "Thinking up a brilliant design?" "No," Estella answered. "I was plotting to take them all down." "Estella," her mom started to protest, but Estella shook her head. "I can't just let them do this to me." Estella's mom didn't say anything for a moment. She sat down beside Estella and maneuvered their bodies so they were snuggled together. It was comforting, and Estella allowed herself to lean into her mom's warmth. Gently, her mom ran a hand through Estella's hair, first the dark side, then the light. "Turn the other cheek," her mom finally said. "They'll give in. Revenge is not the answer." Estella sighed. Her mom was right. She always was. Still, the thought of letting those kids get away with treating her badly really rubbed her the wrong way. With a nod, she stood up and gave her mom a kiss on the top of her head. "I had some great plans for revenge, though," she said. "Really brilliant." "Save your brilliance for your designs," her mom said. Estella tried. She really did. But after another few days of being bullied and picked on, Estella decided it was time to use some of her brilliance for revenge after all. While she found it humorous when Ginger and his buddies opened their lockers and got faces full of green dye, they unfortunately did not. And it turned out neither did the headmaster. She had a feeling this might have been the last straw. She was right. "I think it's clear what's about to happen," the headmaster said after Estella's mum arrived. His hand hovered menacingly over Estella's blot-covered record book. "Estella, you are ex—" Before he could finish his sentence, Estella's mum got to her feet. "I'm withdrawing her from your school," she said. Estella's head swung back and forth between her mum and the headmaster. Her mum's expression was determined. The headmaster's was more stunned, and growing rather angry. He shook his head, his mouth opening and closing. "I'm expelling her," he said, trying to take back control. "Too late," Estella's mum said, not backing down. "I withdrew her first, so that can't be on the record." Estella's eyes widened as she realized what her mom had done. If the headmaster had finished his sentence, Estella's record book would be forever marked with an expulsion. She would have a hard time getting into any school with that. Her mum was saving her. Again. "I'd said expelled," the headmaster protested. "I'd already said it." "Hadn't," Estella said, almost gleeful now that she knew she would never have to come back to the dreaded place or sit at this terrible, not to mention terribly decorated, office ever again. "Didn't," her mum echoed. She gave her daughter a small smile of reassurance. Turning back to the headmaster, whose face was now a gloriously bright shade of red, her mum added, "And might I say, your school turns out horrible children, with no creativity or compassion." The headmaster glared at Estella and her mum. "Well, they mostly go work in finance, so we're just doing our job," he explained. Then as he realized he didn't need to explain himself at all, his face grew even redder, and he pointed at the door with a shaking finger. "You're out! Out!" Estella didn't need to be told twice. She grabbed her record book, shoved it into her bag, and left the office, her mum following. But once they had walked through the doors and were standing on the other side of the drive, Estella went from triumphant to worried. What had she done? An education had been her one chance at getting out of this town and making a name for herself. Now she was going to be stuck here forever, helping her mum with the sewing. The most excitement she could hope to see would be sewing dresses for her old classmates' formal dances. She tapped her foot in frustration. She had to be unique. Why couldn't she have just listened to her mum? Feeling a hand on her shoulder, Estella turned her head. Her mum was staring at her, her eyes watering. That just made Estella feel worse. What were they going to do now?